Hello and welcome. We begin with the latest updates from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where amid the advances and chaos in the mineral-rich eastern provinces, the Rwanda-backed rebels have once again expressed a desire to peacefully resolve the crisis. The rebel alliance, called the Alliance Flueve Congo, or the AFC, which also includes the M23, has announced its readiness to engage in direct talks with Kinshasa to immediately end the fighting in the DRC's east. In a statement shared on social media, the AFC reaffirmed its commitment to a negotiated solution to the crisis and to upholding the unilateral ceasefire it declared on the 4th of February. The alliance noted this move would help facilitate the implementation of resolutions reached at the joint EAC and SADC summit in Tanzania, as well as a recently concluded African Union conference. It called on Kinshasa to fully implement the resolutions reached at these summits. Now the reiteration comes as the M23 rebels have reportedly appeared to have paused their offensive after approaching the South Kivu town of Uvira, located near the border with Burundi. The DRC's Prime Minister, Judith Suminwa Tuluka, said that the violence in the east has killed more than 7,000 people since January. Now, speaking at the Human Rights Council in Geneva, she also warned that the crisis could spread to neighboring countries, causing wide-ranging regional impacts.
Since January 2025, the conflict has resulted in 7,000 deaths with 2,500 bodies buried without identification, and more than 1,500 bodies are still in the morgues. According to the UN, more than 450,000 people are without shelter, food, and water. We, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, have said it, if this question of the violation territorial integrity of the DRC by Rwanda and the armed groups isn't resolved, the situation could degenerate in all the neighboring countries. As you know, the DRC shares its border with 9 countries, so any security disturbance, any peace disturbance in the DRC can impact the other countries.
Meanwhile, in the midst of the escalating conflict, Burundi's President Evariste Ndayishimiye has also visited Kinshasa earlier this week to discuss the regional security threat with President Felix Tshisekedi. Now, Burundi is facing a refugee influx unseen in 25 years. The United Nations reports that over 42,000 people have fled to Burundi from Eastern DRC in the last 2 weeks.
This is the very first time that Burundi is receiving this large number of people in a matter of few days, because the increase in numbers really started on the weekend of the 14th. And we have seen, particularly last week, on Tuesday, we had more than 9,000 people who crossed in one day. So this kind of large influx is really the first time in many years for Burundi. The last one was in the early 2000s.
Furthermore, pressure is also growing on Rwanda over its alleged support of the M23 rebels. The UK has said it would pause certain bilateral aid to Rwanda and impose other diplomatic sanctions on Kigali. This comes after the US sanctioned a close ally of the Rwandan President Paul Kagame last week. The European Union also said it would review its raw materials deal with Rwanda, following a request from DRC President Tshisekedi to purchase minerals directly from Kinshasa instead of Kigali. Moreover, in a related move, the DRC, the world's largest cobalt producer, has also halted cobalt exports for at least 4 months due to a production glut. Now, so as the crisis continues to unfold and tensions escalate, both military and diplomatic efforts remain in a state of flux. With rebels willing to engage in talks, the question remains, will Kinshasa come to the negotiating table? Now, to discuss this further, we have with us Luke Anami, an international affairs expert who is joining us live from Nairobi in Kenya. Welcome to Firstpost.
Thank you so much, Alison. You can hear me?
Loud and clear. I'll jump straight into the questions. How significant is the rebel alliance's offer to engage in talks? And what conditions might they be expecting from the Congolese government?
Yeah, one, it's very significant for the M23 to enter into negotiations with the DRC government. One of the reasons why this is very important and very significant is because you recall that every time the DRC has raised concern over the M23 rebels, they always blame Rwanda. They blame President Paul Kagame. But it is important for the M23 to come to the table, because then it will be possible for DRC to come face to face with its adversaries in the Eastern Congo. One of the reasons why it's very important is because then they can be able to raise the most important issues that are leading to the fighting within the region. Significantly, it will also be important for the DRC to be able to host the M23 face-to-face, so as to be able to discuss and identify the challenges facing the crisis in the Eastern Congo. So it's very important that the two meet, because at the first, the president of Rwanda has denied any support. So it will be important for them to come to the table and therefore put all the facts on the table, and deny whether they are being supported by Rwanda or not.
Right. And Luke, with an estimated 7,000 deaths since January and the conflict escalating, what role do the regional leaders, such as Burundi's president, play in de-escalating the tensions? And how effective can diplomacy be in this situation?
Burundi sits at a very difficult situation. One, Burundi has closed its border with Rwanda. It is not in good terms with Rwanda at the moment. It is in good terms with the DRC. It will be very important for Burundi. First, it cannot sit at the negotiating table as maybe a peacemaker, but maybe participate as one of those involved in the crisis. Secondly, it is important to note that the East African community and the SADC countries have appointed former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta to be the chief negotiator after merging the Angolan and the East African community peace-keeping efforts. So now that that has been made clear, that who is chairing, together with the president of Angola, it will be very significant for the two presidents. One is a former president, the current president Lorenzo of Angola, to bring the two warring factions together around the table. And it will be the only way to bring peace is through diplomacy, because military has failed. And this is because the M23 look like they are more powerful than the SADC forces that have been put together, as well as the DRC army. So it's very important that the two come together. But President Evariste Ndayishimiye is key in this peace discussion, because he is a neighbor to Paul Kagame. Even though the two are not seeing eye to eye, but they are members of the East African community, it will be very important for them to come together under the EAC umbrella to bring peace in the region.
Right. Luke, thank you very much for being with us and for your valued insights on all the latest out of the DRC.
Thank you so much, Alison. Welcome.
Merci beaucoup. Hi. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Namaste, Mr. President.
Bharat Kelogon, Komeri Namaste.
How many people generally follow you in interviews?
Typically in a month, we have viewers up to 150 million. That's more than twice the population of France. And in the last 2 years, we had 3 billion viewers. So I say, Laurent, this is your chance to be famous. You're on Firstpost. One word to describe your equation with Prime Minister Modi.
Amitié.
As India and France work together, are you creating a new era of non-alignment in the technology space?
India is a training superpower. 1 million engineers a year, more than all of Europe and the US combined. So we have that partnership. We have a partnership on the environment and the economy. We also have civilian nuclear programs. And that is something we've developed far beyond the France-India relationship. So we want to work together on AI.
And then comes China with its DeepSeek, creating models at a fraction of the cost. Did that innovation take you by surprise? Did that breakthrough make you sit up and think, what did the Chinese do and how?
But what did DeepSeek do? They took everything that was already available from the last AI model and then they recalibrated it.
So are you going to ban Chinese AI in France?
So we don't have this American approach of banning tech because of where it comes from.